Sam Elman recently said that compute will be the currency of the future. And this prediction made me wonder, as how can compute become a currency when so few people have access to it? When I was in university doing my master thesis in artificial intelligence in the lab in Amsterdam, there was one thing that was really holding us back, me and my colleagues in the lab. And this wasn't like a lack of inspiration, a lack of time, or a lack of ideas. Like nothing like that. The pain point that was really hindering us making progress was that we couldn't get access to the compute we needed to run our research. We couldn't get access to enough time on the GPU cluster to make our research work and reach the results we wanted. So this counted for like a lot of hours in frustration where we had to wait and improve. And this was 10 years ago. In the last 10 years, artificial intelligence has improved by over 1 million times. 1 million times. That is an insane growth. And just in the last 2 years already, this growth has peaked exponentially. I think we can all tell here, even at SuperAI, looking around all the projects and what people are building here, that AI is really booming. And this growth, this really crazy growth, is causing a few problems. And these problems are causing some pains and some dangers as well. And that is what I would like to talk about today. And also highlight what we can do to make that more sustainable and healthy. So let's first look at what exactly this growth looks like. As it's not just the complexity of models that is increasing exponentially. It is also that the number of models being produced is growing exponentially, as well as the usage of these models. This graph shows, for example, the number of open models that are being released on Hugging Face last year. And you can see that it's taking off exponentially already. And these are just the open models published on one platform. It's just a tiny fraction of the total number of models that are being used. And this also illustrates the usage of AI that is increasing drastically. So we all know AI is growing, and we can see it around us and feel it. But there is a big problem that this causes, which is that the underlying resource to power all these use cases and to power all this AI that we are running is running very scarce. These are the GPUs, graphical processing units, which are the hardware chips that are required to run artificial intelligence. They are just silicon chips that we need to produce in order to make all of this run. And we're not producing them nearly as fast as that the adoption of AI is growing. So this is causing a problem and a huge strain on the production and also on the usage of these chips. How are we going to solve that? And what kind of problems is this causing? Clearly, it's causing huge problems already for companies that rely on artificial intelligence to operate. Like, there's dozens of huge companies that are publicly complaining and criticizing that they cannot function properly. They cannot build the products they need, and they cannot even sustain their current users because they don't have access to the compute. And some of these guys are the kings of the AI industry. These are like the biggest AI companies that are struggling getting their hands on the compute. Imagine what that means for the rest of us, for the millions of startups, for smaller data scientists, data labs, or even just small, medium-sized businesses that want to employ AI. Like, they are struggling and they cannot get their hands on this compute, which is obviously a pain for them, as they cannot compete, they cannot create the products they need to stay competitive. But it's also a huge problem and I think a more dangerous problem, for the diversity we're seeing in the industry. What's happening now is that the big cloud providers are fanatically buying up all the compute they can get in order to gain a powerful position in the market. The graph behind me shows the distribution of H100s, which are a very popular chip within AI. And we see that the big companies are hoarding them and trying to acquire as many as they can. Because today, having more compute means having more power in the industry. You can build more products, you can be ahead of the rest. So more compute is more power at the moment. Traditionally, like cloud providers such as Microsoft Azure, they would rent out their compute to smaller customers, because that's what they do. But at the moment, that doesn't really go up anymore, as Microsoft Azure, for example, allocates their complete inventory of H100 compute to OpenAI and its services, like ChatGPT. So there is a big strain and a big problem for the smaller companies that also want to use AI. And unfortunately, there is very few GPUs left that they can use. I think this is a big problem, as the future that I like to see is one where AI isn't shaped by these huge companies, and they are not the ones defining how AI will develop. I like a future where the way forward is defined by the innovators, the small companies, the startups, the research labs that can also contribute to what AI will mean for us in the future and how the society will operate. There's one question that worries me, and that's the reason why I've been building decentralized AI for the last 10 years, which is, will artificial intelligence give us freedom, or will it oppress us in the future? And I don't mean oppressing us as AGI being embodied and the Terminator running through the streets. I mean oppressing us in that artificial intelligence will be so interleaved with our lives, and we as a society will be so reliant upon it, while there is just a few companies and governments that control all of that. That is the future that scares me. I think we've seen this in the past with, for example, the internet, where, like in the 90s, this was a very freedom-enabling technology. But I think what we're seeing today is that we're basically being injected by dopamine by social media while these companies are farming us and steering our behavior and tracking everything we do. I think with artificial intelligence, we got a chance now to do it right, to make the right decisions, so we get a more free and diverse ecosystem. And this is the reason why we created Nosana. I believe this journey starts with compute. When we make compute readily available and accessible and affordable for everyone, we're going to see a way more diverse and healthy ecosystem. Nosana is a platform where anybody at any time can get access to the GPUs they need to run artificial intelligence. Our platform is live now, and we have a lot of startups and people that rent GPUs by the second, as it's on demand. So how do we do that? How does Nosana make this work? What we do is that we aggregate and we use compute sources from all over the world that are already there. Historically, GPUs have been manufactured for gaming and graphic rendering purposes. They've been manufactured for decades. And it turns out that the GPUs for gamers and miners and rendering farms, they are extremely performant at running artificial intelligence. And it's estimated that there are more than 300 million of these devices out there that can run artificial intelligence. So Nosana aggregates those devices and make them available in large quantities on our network for anyone to use. This means that we have a huge global network of compute ready for anyone to tap into. And next to the fact that it makes AI available for small companies and to larger companies as well, is that it has a lot of benefits that come from this decentralization. We have GPUs in over 60 countries right now that you can rent. And as the network is fully distributed, we can optimize things a lot better than is possible in clouds. First of all, we have a lot more hardware available that can match perfectly with the AI that people want to run. We can also be way more efficient when it comes to the energy prices and energy utilization, as it's very distributed and more rigid and less fragile than having things in one location. And another huge benefit is that we can make use of data locality. So when you, as a user, are close to the compute that is running your application, you get a lot of benefit from that. As data doesn't have to travel far, things are more private and secure. And all these benefits also reflect in an important element for startups and many businesses, which is the price of compute. Behind me, you see an example of a real-world use case of running an important workload, which is image generation. It's a workload that's commonly used in the industry. On Nosana versus a few cloud providers. And we can see that the compute is almost 80% more affordable than on Nosana than on the cloud. And this is a game changer for a lot of companies. If you can save 80% on compute as a compute-heavy company, this can make a huge difference. And this is a real-world use case, so there's many more of those that apply. Our network is live right now. We have over 1,000 GPUs connected. We've run over millions of GPU hours, so we've rented over 1 million hours of GPUs on our network. And we're very distributed, so I think we're already in 70 different countries and growing. So we have that distribution that's important to us. If anyone here is looking for GPUs, then please talk to our team who's walking around, as we're currently onboarding clients on the network. And maybe to close off, I would like to give you guys a little demonstration or an example of a company based here in Singapore that's using Nosana and benefiting from our product. Sokni AI is a Singaporean-based startup that does image generation. Very cool company. They are basically a Photoshop AI fueled that can generate all kinds of cool images on the spot. And recently they started onboarding a lot of users, and they're doing really well. And their network has been attracting a lot of users using different AI models that need compute power. So they partnered with us, and we're now able to sustain all their loads, even in peak hours when there's suddenly a huge demand for their product, and make that very affordable for them. If you are a startup that's currently looking for GPU power, that's maybe paying too much to the cloud, please come find us, please talk to us. We would love to hear more about your use case and how we can help you out. My name is Jesse. I'm the founder of Nosana. Thank you very much for your attention. Please reach out to us if you have GPUs available that you want to contribute, or if you're looking for GPU power. Thank you.